There are 2 screws above here. Go and feel for it and use a small screwdriver to pull them out. I've already done that, so we're just gonna pull this out. Also, what you didn't see beforehand is I took this off from the top. It does make it actually a little easier to work around in, and also it makes it a lot easier to put back the instrument cluster. But next, there are 4 screws right on the top, and then 2 right on the side. Now that you've removed your screws, go ahead and gently pull the instrument cluster out. Trying to do this with one hand here. Okay. Next, go ahead and disconnect the wires. Make sure you lower this first. Makes it a lot easier to get that damn thing out. Okay, once you've done that, slide it to the left or the right. And voila. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to change indigo gauges on your instrument cluster, and then also show you how to install these particular ones, because these ones are specifically for V6 Honda Accords and will only fit V6, but I managed to fit it on my 4-cylinder, and the gauges read correctly, just that the gauges are actually different when comparing to a V6 model. So here are the differences, at least externally. For one, if you notice at the bottom here, there's no screw down here versus having the V6. They have all these screws all over the place, all over the back. However, comparing the 4-cylinder and the V6, the backs are totally different. Take off the 4-cylinder version, all you have to do is there's these little clips in the back. You just pop these out, each one of these, and the whole thing will just come out. To make things a little simpler, take out the silver one first. I do apologize about instructing you guys to do the black ones, but take out the silver part, or the clear parts first, because it makes it a lot easier to take out the black portion. Also, a thing to note is this bulb is connected. This is part of the black piece. Pull this out first before you take out the black part. Carefully remove that. Boom. Now, unfortunately, I've already properly set these with double-sided tape, so I don't want to move them anymore. So when you actually buy these in the mail, and when you install them, it's really simple. You can move the needles to situate them. However, never pull the needle out. If you pull the needle out, your speedometer or any of the other needles won't work. So you can still adjust it and move it around, but just move it and configure it so that it'll fit. And then once you get them situated, you use double-sided tape to stick them on there. However, since, like I said earlier in the video, that these are specifically for V6 models, the needle portion is meant, it has a different place for the V6 than it is on the 4-cylinder. So what I had done, if I had more time, I actually used the hole puncher to punch the hole to get it situated correctly. Because the needle hole was actually around here in this portion. But anyway, it works. And then also these portions here, if you buy the 4-cylinder version of any other aftermarket gauges, they actually go down and point out this way. Don't know why, but V6 versions, they just point down. However, once you properly install these, we're going to convert them to red LEDs so the needles show up red. What we're going to do right now is remove the orange from the needle. Now, in order to do that, you need alcohol and some Q-tips. Now, once you've soaked the Q-tip, you're just going to rub it lightly on the needle until the paint goes away. Patience is a virtue. This is a very tedious process, but be patient. As long as you don't damage your gauges while in the process, you're good to go. But eventually the paint will come off. Just be patient. Alright, so after you've taken off the paint and the needles are clear, you'll see an orange strip underneath the needle. You can just leave that alone. If you're really good with painting and paintbrushes, I would suggest get some clear red paint you can buy at your local hobby model store. Get some clear red paint and then paint over in the needles on each one. I'd say maybe 3 or 4 coats just to be safe, but in the end, this is what it will look like. What also I'm doing is doing an LED, red LED conversion on the back. And what you need is the 3 main bulbs that you'll need are the T5 bulbs and the 194 bulbs. The 194 bulbs fit the RPM, the speedometer, and the gas gauge. The T5 bulbs, the real small ones that look like these, I'm not sure if you can see it, but look like these things. These fit on the back of the temperature gauge and the odometer one. The odometer has a slightly bigger T5 bulb, which is this one, compared to the one behind the temperature gauge. Now, my suggestion, you can get any LED 194s bulbs for the first 3, but for the odometer and the temperature gauge, I highly recommend that you get instead of an LED bulb, such as this or these ones, get just a normal halogen red bulb to backlit the odometer display, because if you use LEDs have, you know, a projector point. So when you actually install these and light it up, all you'll see is a red circle, a bright red circle in the middle of your odometer, and the rest will be a faded red. Doesn't look really nice. So if you use a red halogen bulb on the back of your odometer, the whole thing will brighten up red, which is good. Now, like I was saying earlier in the video, the 4-cylinder ones, they actually come down and out. The V6 ones, they come straight down. So if you're trying to fit this on a V6, you're good to go. Just close up, just reinstall the casings and then put it in your car. However, for 4-cylinder folk like me, you have to do some slight modifications to the bottom of your cluster. So right where this comes down, I had to take off a little chunk of the plastic just to get it to fit right. Same thing goes with this one here. I don't want to pull too much, but you get the idea. And then under the temperature gauge, same thing. Kind of a little bit wider than I did on this one. And then along with modifying that, you need to modify the bottom of your the plastic case too. I was a little impatient. I kind of broke or snipped it a little bit with wire cutters. But I suggest if you have one of those files, just go ahead and file this down to about right there. So file it to about right there. Not sure if you can see. Try to put something behind it so you can see. There you go. So cut it till it's about there. And then the same goes for oh yeah. What I did here was, if you can tell, there we go. If you can see on the right hand side, you'll see this little thing coming out. I just chopped that off on the left side, so when the wires come down, it'll fit perfectly. And that's all you have to do. Just be careful if you don't have a file or anything and are extremely impatient like me. Be very careful not to snip too much. Do it a little at a time, or else you'll crack your plastic case. Luckily, I didn't crack it too much where it's actually visible when driving, but just be careful. Use some compressed air to blow out all the dust. Before you close up everything, just do a quick eye inspection to make sure there's no smudges or fingerprints that you can see on the face of your gauges, because that would just be an eyesore after you've installed everything and put everything together. So just reinstall this. Now, as I was saying earlier about cutting those holes, so when you actually fit the bezel, it'll fit the wires sticking down. See if I can focus my camera a little bit. There we go. Again, quick inspection of the bezel, make sure there's no smudges. On the black casing, I'm not sure if you can see this, but I actually trimmed a little bit off over here in this region, so the wires can fit, and right over here as well. So, because the other side is like this, but I trimmed it so the wires will fit for that guy right there. Same thing goes for this side right over here. I trim the top a little bit because the bottom piece right here goes all the way across, but I trim that out. Again, same thing on this side. Bottom piece comes all the way out, trim that sucker too. So now when you go to fit it, the thing actually fits. There we go. And then make sure you clean the inside. Alright, now that's all nice and clean. Now you can reinstall the clear piece. Carefully. Especially since I damaged that. See how those parts or those cut pieces work in unison? Now the wires actually come through just fine. Same with here. Just do it cleaner than I did. Be patient. I wasn't. I was super excited to get these, so I wasn't patient. And this one. Now let's go install this in the car. I suggest installing it right here. Plus you're gonna have to do it to get the shit to work. But there is there's the transformer right here, and I have yet to decide where to put this damn thing, but that's what comes with it. Now I suggest that you leave it on green. Green will still look like it's white or blue, so it doesn't really matter. But if you're installing the transformer here, right here, leave it on green. I highly recommend you install this in the engine bay. Actually in the engine bay, not just in here, because if you leave this on blue, you're gonna hear a high-pitched noise, and it's really annoying. Even if you have the music blaring or you're sitting in traffic, you can hear it. So if you're installing it in here, use green. That's it. Just use green. Alright, so this red wire that's in the transformer, you just put that in the very top circuit, right where this red wire is. You don't have to solder it or put a nail in or anything like that. All you have to do is just put it in there, and it will stay, and the damn thing will turn on. Like that. No matter if you're doing hard turns or whatnot, it'll still stay there. Now, as for the black wire, my cat's going in and out. As for the black wire, you can see that I just pinned it to the chassis. That's their ground, and that's it. And then run the remaining wires up through the fuse box and into the gauge cluster right here. You can see the black wires. Now, before you start putting everything back together or putting the cluster inside your dashboard, make sure everything works. Reconnect your battery. So everything works, with the exception of the odometer. Need to fix that. There we go. Now that everything's working, you can just go ahead and reinstall it. When reinstalling it, make sure you disconnect the battery. Now make sure you get the circuit wires in. Move any of those additional wires out of the way. There you go. And just let the bezel cover in and put your screws in, you're done. There are 4 screws. One goes in there. The other one goes in that hole. And there are 2 on the top. You can feel for it. Now just go ahead and put the bezel back on. This is what the final product will look like. Yeah, the circles don't actually go all the way around, they actually cut off. let's reconnect the battery and then take a look for ourselves what this looks like in darkness. Alright, let's test it out. And that's what it looks like. Now this is the green setting. Here's what it sounds like with the blue setting on. It's a little bit brighter, but can you hear that annoying hum? So if you want the blue setting, I highly recommend you move the transformer in the engine bay so you don't hear that shit. Even with the music blaring, you can still hear it because you know it's there, and that's what your ear focuses on. But there you go, that's how you install the new glow gauges that are specifically for the V6 on your 4-cylinder. Thanks for watching, please rate and subscribe, and I'll put up the rear disc brake conversion video sometime when I get around to it. There's just a lot of footage that I have to go through and splice them all together. So I do apologize for the lateness.